Good evening.
I'm just going to say it. I made a regal, super regal opening. I'm just going up. Happy Friday, everybody. Josh, I did great on that. Go ahead.
No, you can do it.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hijacked the opening from Josh because, as you just saw with that beautiful cinematic opening, so in the case, welcome to the WADcast. I am followed, as always, by and possible Joshua Chitty. Josh, would
Why
you
you
like
put
to
my
say hello?
government name out there? Can you explain that to me?
What am I really thinking? Oh, fine. I'll put mine out there too. I'm Brandon D. Junk.
Everybody
Making that up.
knows
That's
who
just
you
like
are, Brandon D. Junk. They follow you on OnlyFans at Brandon's
God.
Junk. We know this. Fine. I will take back over. So let's try this again.
Actually, to me that.
Ooh, wow, you are breaking up so bad. It is so terrible.
Yeah.
Brandon's frozen.
Anyway, so what's new? How are you? Let's just pretend we don't talk every. Huh? How am I frozen?
Nothing you said came through.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
So yeah. So Brandon, I'm going to ask you to check out the live feed, see what it sounds like on there, do a little troubleshooting, see if you can see how well you are coming across over the feed versus how you are coming across in our chat. So do that. I'll keep the kids entertained. I'll keep the kids entertained for a second, and I'll let you do some IT work. So, kids, hi, how's it going? Welcome to the show, the WADcast, writers, actors, directors. You know what we do here, and if you don't, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Always fun to see you. Well, it's always fun to see us from our perspective, because, quite frankly, it's good to be seen anywhere. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Wow, that went dark. So, it's been quite the week. I finally wrapped up watching that show New Amsterdam. Ran 5 seasons on NBC. Just finished up season 5, 13 episodes. I enjoyed the run. Is it a great show? You know, it's fine. Is it cheesy? Yeah, sure. And does it have a good message of hope and positivity? Yes, absolutely. And did it have a satisfying conclusion? I'm going to say yes and no. Yes, because there's a finality to it, to where you're like, oh, okay, that's really awesome, pretty sweet. But as far as closure, not a lot. It's a show that doesn't end with a lot of closure. I'm not going to get into spoilers because I know the show just ended, and for those of you that are taking the New Amsterdam journey, it's quite a ride. Unfortunately, it's a ride that's missing a few pieces of track, at least from my perspective. So if you're going to be into that, awesome. I think you'll enjoy it if you're into that sort of thing. I don't know why I started watching it. Maybe it's because you have a main character whose motto is, "How can I help?" And that's aspirational. That is something you would love to be able to be in a position to to say something like that and actually be able to do something. So imagine being, a writer on the show, and you're coming up with all of these interesting scenarios where medical professionals are basically turning every kind of social issue into a medical problem. Not It sounds a lot weirder than it actually is, but the Max, the medical director, he'll see a social issue and say, homelessness, that is a medical issue that falls under our purview. We're going to fix it. Racial inequality, that is a medical issue, and we're going to fix it. So yeah, it's it's almost like how some shows have a monster of the week situation or an alien of the week. Looking at you, Star Trek Voyager, in one of the latest episodes of Young Rock. This has like a social cause of the week. So every week it would be, we're going to turn this social issue into a medical thing, and that falls under our purview. So Max tries to fix some inequality or injustice with medicine, pretty much. And he does, the writers, I should say, do a very eloquent job in explaining how these social issues are in fact a part of the medical community's problem, because in the end, if people were treated more equal, or if they were treated better in some instances, then their health issues would be lessened. So it's less about something they can prescribe medicine wise to fix a social cause, and more along the lines of creating programs that would prevent the need for more medical care, preventative measures, if anything. So, yeah, 5 seasons, a few familiar faces, especially if you liked Breaker High back in the day. Yeah. Remember Breaker High? Nobody does, but I do. And yeah, a certain
real quick
shows up.
Real quick, is that better?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. That's so odd. I don't know what the hell. Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. That was so odd. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that. I was listening in on Josh talking about the social issues and things of that nature. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was. That was really weird. So, yeah.
But that's our show. About my New Amsterdam journey and how I watched the series finale this week. We talked about that earlier on the phone, and I was explaining to you what happened to the finale, because I know you're not going to watch it. But I was just explaining to our friends, kind of what the show is, and putting it out there. Maybe they'll want to go check it out at some point. It's on Netflix. Well, 4 seasons are on Netflix. I watched the 5th season on Peacock. Now in between shows, and I can't say that too loud, or my oldest kid's gonna burst through the door like the Kool-Aid Man and go, "It's time for Supernatural." I'm like, no.
There's too many seasons. I have no desire to sit through Supernatural for 4 weeks trying to catch up on it. So, pass. It's I've watched 3 episodes of Supernatural. It's okay.
I would be more impressed if my kid would burst through your door. Quite frankly.
I would be too. That would mean that kiddo decided to travel 2,000 plus miles just to come try to get me into watching Supernatural. In which case, it'd be like, okay, back on the plane, get back to your dad.
I would not count that out. They'd be like, he hasn't watched Supernatural? Nope. Buy me a plane ticket, father.
There's this show that I was watching, and I've seen clips of it on TikTok and Facebook Reels, stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And it's the show called Whites. It's about a guy that is a very talented chef working in a mediocre diner kind of deal. It's a BBC show. It's only got one season. It came out in 2010 or 11, somewhere around there. But the clip I'm talking about is where a waitress comes in and says a gentleman wants an eggless omelet. And one chef is looking at her thinking, well, okay, do you know what's in an omelet? She's like, eggs. It's like, okay, now you have an omelet, you have eggs in it. You take away the eggs, what do you have left? The omelet? It's like, okay, breadsticks. What's in breadsticks? Bread. You take away the bread, what do you have? She's like, sticks? He just grabs an empty plate, puts some like seasoning on it, hands it to her. He's like, there's your eggless omelet. She's like, oh, thank you. She grabs the plate, starts walking away, and like he catches her. He's like, no, come back here. Like, you don't take the plate out. Don't take that plate out to the guy.
That sounds like it's right up my alley.
In comes the head chef. This is the very first episode. The head chef, the one that the show's all about. He comes up and he was like, do me a favor. Go out to the gentleman and ask if he would like the omelet with a whole egg or just the egg whites. And she's like, okay, great. She still has the plate in her hand. She starts walking around. He was like, excuse me. Don't take the plate. And she the way she hands him the plate, I don't know if there's any way we can like show this clip. But the way she hands him the plate, she's slowly putting it down. He's not even moving. He's just watching her set the plate down. And then as she sets it down, he says, okay, run along now. And she's like, just kind of skips out the kitchen, just excited to go, I don't know, ask the guy. I don't know. It's like she just learned something. She's so stupid in the show, but it's hysterical. But it's only got one season. It never got renewed. And I honestly, like, I watched the whole thing. I think it's a damn good show. I thought it was hysterical.
Hold on. I'm going to see if we can pull this up.
Just type in whites eggless omelet.
All right. I have it. It goes without saying we don't own this.
Nope.
So say goodbye to our monetization.
Yeah. We do not make any money off of showing this clip.
I probably have to mute me so it won't feedback the audio. All right.
Chef? I don't think it's fair.
Chef?
Yes, what is it?
A man on table 6 wants an eggless omelette.
He wants an egg. Kiki, you can't have an eggless omelette, can you?
Why, do we not have any?
No, they don't exist, do they? Because there's no... Breadsticks, what are they made of?
Bread?
Bread, very good. Okay, take away the bread. What are you left with?
Sticks?
No. There you go. That's an eggless omelette. No, don't take the plate, Kiki. What are you doing? Please.
Kiki, just ask the nice man if he'd like his omelette made with whole eggs or just egg whites. You can leave the plate.
You make things too complicated, this is what happens.
There you go.
You're still on mute, buddy.
Good. For those of you wondering, I realized that some of the audio might have been a bit muddled, but for some reason, yes. An episode of Young Rock was also playing in the background, so.
Yeah, I was curious what the other noise was.
Yeah, I was like, weird. How did that start playing?
Huh? Well, either way, but you got the gist of it. Like, that's the very first episode, like the opening scene of the show. I was in tears when I saw that. And I watched it like I came across it a few years back, and it wasn't that episode. I think it was one of the latter episodes. But it's BBC. It's very dry humor,
It's
but
the best kind.
that's what made it work. That's what made it so good. Um, like I think if I lived in England, my humor would be more acceptable.
Well, your
Out here,
language, for sure.
oh, my language definitely would be much more acceptable. You know the challenges I have just trying to control my language on this show for 1 hour.
Yes, I do.
And there are times where I do not even swear once on this show.
By the way, in
Um,
case anybody's wondering, Whites is available to stream on Amazon Prime Video. So I will be checking that out. That's like I said, it seems like something that's right up my alley.
oh, it's worth it. It's actually a really like I said, I think it's a very smart show. But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. I said, you know how rare it is for me to say that about a show. It's definitely worth the watch.
I have this thing where I am just a fan of shows about people that are good at their job, but
Yeah.
everyone else is less
Mediocre.
so.
Oh,
Like House. I could
what
watch
was it?
House all day.
Oh God, that man would have been fired so many times, and he would have
Yes.
already had his license revoked.
That's why I like this show. It's somebody that is so good, the rules mean nothing.
Isn't he also like a drug addict in that show?
He has a physical injury that requires him to take copious amounts of Vicodin that may be described as an addiction.
Okay. Yeah.
And could lead to some actual season arcs of withdrawal and jail time.
Jesus.
So I guess the answer would be yes.
Well, it can't be worse than Cobra Kai, so that show.
Cobra Kai is not a bad show.
It's
Cobra Kai
just
is a good show.
It's just so damn predictable.
Yeah, like all shows.
No, this is especially predictable. It's like, oh, we're talking about a problem. Oh, here comes the daughter walking up to the house. Oh, they're talking about her. Oh, she's walking up to the house. She opens the door and she cracks open the door. She hears them, but she walks in all nonchalant and quiet. But they're still talking about the daughter. It's like, okay, so she's going to go running off because she's not listening to the whole conversation, and that's just going to turn into a story arc that lasts for half the season.
Mm-hmm.
We're 4 seasons in, and that's how the show that's how they carry the show forward. That's it.
Yeah,
and I've said this before on our show. That is just bad writing.
it is not bad writing.
It is bad, right? If it happens in every other episode as a plot device to move the show forward even more, it's pretty bad writing.
No,
there's other things.
Not.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. It's so damn lazy.
Again, lazy. No.
It's so bad. Like every time I hear them talking about one of the kids, I roll my eyes because I know that one of the kids is going to walk in and hear the conversation from off screen, or the adults are doing something and they're just going to miss a conversation, like, and they're talking like very highly about a person. Like it's it's inevitable. It's just how it works in that show. Then again, they are Californians. No offense to Californians, but I live out here, and this is pretty much how you guys live your life out here every single day. So, yeah. Josh absolutely disagrees to disagree with me. He doesn't even want, there's no agreement at all here between me and Josh on this one. But you know what? This is why we are still friends after 12 years. And now Josh is talking to another person instead of his co-host.
Yeah, I'm talking to important people.
You bitch. You see how you treat
At least I know the meaning of words like bad and lazy.
Okay.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I recall doing a whole episode where we defined these terms.
Yeah, and Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai was one of those shows that I spoke about.
No, actually, we didn't talk about that during that episode.
Oh, I meant to. Cobra Kai is very lazy. Yeah, it's entertaining, but I mean, come on. You know what? I can actually say it could be worse than Cobra Kai. It could be The Flash. That is a show that has absolutely no stakes whatsoever. None.
Okay. Since you're turning me into devil's advocate tonight,
Oh, you're going to defend The Flash too?
I will defend this. In the last you know what? We'll say 23 years.
Okay.
We'll stick to this century. In the last 23 years, it is probably top 3 superhero shows.
Were there
And
other
I mean for
Smallville,
television.
But I was going to say there's Smallville, but Smallville kind of butchered a whole lot of storylines. I don't watch anything in the Arrowverse. I tried watching Supergirl. I couldn't get into it. Green Arrow, parts of it. So I can't really speak on anything else in there.
Now, I watched all of the Arrowverse stuff, and I've watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I've watched Peggy Carter, and Smallville, of course. I definitely put this above Smallville.
Oh, no, Smallville. Like I said, Smallville butchered a whole lot of storylines. It kind of... Smallville did for Superman stories what Titans has done for a lot of Batman stories. Like, Titans is largely Batman villain-esque kind of deal. Let me rephrase that. Smallville and I think Gotham kind of did the same thing, if that makes sense. Smallville took a whole lot of characters that were not part of Clark's upbringing and threw them in there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they even had a Justice League in Smallville.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Minus Wonder Woman, but still they had like Cyborg. They had the Flash, Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Clark. But no, it's like with the Flash, like what I'm saying is like there's just no stakes in the show because even if the characters die, they're going to come back right away at some point.
Sometimes.
It's happened quite a few times.
What was it? Sometimes.
What was it like? Was it Iris? Right? It's Iris.
Yeah.
Okay, Iris. Didn't she die? She came back
more than once, I believe.
Oh yeah, just kept happening. Nora just disappeared. But it's like honestly, like the earlier seasons, it was great. I will say the earlier seasons, I made fun of it, but they were still pretty good shows.
I think I think it went from, hey, this is pretty good to, well, it's still the same.
Well, it's something that got the same. It's just like if you even look at the CGI in the earlier seasons, it's a lot better than what they put on the later seasons.
That's I think that's just a trend in television in general.
It's a shame they got really tired of it. It's like, oh, okay, guys,
we're cutting budgets.
It's like now that it's in the final season, it's like the last day of high school. It's like, it's the last day of school. Screw it. We're just here for the day.
And that's the thing about the Flash, that and all of those shows in that universe, they were a well-oiled machine.
Except for Batwoman. That was just painful.
Well, that's kind of its own thing.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just
bad. But the core shows, you could really count on the crew and the cast to kind of be there. It's like whenever Kevin Smith talks about going in to direct a show, he's just like, do your thing. And they would. And that would be that.
Yeah. I remember hearing about him talking about that. And he even made Jay and Silent Bob adult, more responsible versions of themselves with the jobs, but they weren't really that responsible.
Well, it has to be somewhat believable.
So, but yeah, no, it's like beyond that. One thing I was talking about. You and I discussed this earlier today. There was something I came across on TikTok in a live feed with somebody.
Mhm.
They're talking about these Disney movies, and you and I had already discussed how we don't care about them recasting characters or like swapping the race of fictional characters. Like you and I just don't give a shit about that. So it
All right,
makes really
give me 10 seconds real quick, okay?
okay. Go ahead.
And I'll break that down for anybody that might have missed those episodes.
Okay.
It all comes down to, other than we don't care because it's their IP, do whatever they want. Disney especially is and has never been what you'd call original. So
No.
people are like, they're remaking all of these things. It's like, yes, because they're remaking their original remake. None of it's original. They've always taken other people's stories and added their own thing to them. They're just doing it for a new generation.
Yep.
So please continue.
Okay. So while I was talking about this, there was some guy that was ranting and raving about The Little Mermaid. And I couldn't stop laughing at this. I was pissing him off because I was laughing so much at this. But he was ranting and raving about The Little Mermaid, talking about how, oh, well, it doesn't take place in Africa. She can't be black, blah, 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 blah. Like, what? It's just going on a rant. And have you seen Tinkerbell? Now, Tinkerbell is a black girl. Like, it was like, who cares? It's like you can't even get mad at Tinkerbell because you can't have a black fairy now. Like, I mean, where do they hail from? Like, I mean, so I'm just telling you, it's like,
yeah, they are canon.
but it's like
Watch those Tinkerbell movies.
Yeah, but it's like I told him, like, just dude, think about this. The Little Mermaid, you have Ariel. Okay, fine. If you want to say this takes place over in northwestern Europe somewhere, like that's fine. I get that. Say what you want. Sebastian is a red crab that has a Jamaican accent. So how do you know that this is not exactly taking place, like, I don't know, off a colony or something like that, or like close to some other part of the world? But even more so, this guy says, well, look at Ariel. She was really, like, she's really hot. Like, the redheaded Ariel. She's so hot. Like, dude, A, she's a cartoon. B, Ariel's a teenager in the movie.
She's a minor.
So you're kind of hitting on like a little teenage cartoon character there. He's like, well, it's like if you look at, he says like, well, it's like, it's okay because you can look at shows when you were younger and still think that person's hot in that show. I'm like, no, you can't. I told him I'm not going to break out my 6th grade yearbook and be like, oh my God, my crush is so hot here. But it's okay because I'm her age now. But I'm looking at this picture of my crush when she was in the 6th grade and be like, oh my God, look at how hot she is here. Man, I love that, I love that rainbow bright shirt she's wearing. It's so creepy. You can't say that.
Getting all sweaty over the yearbook. Go to Facebook. Be less creepy.
Yeah,
still creepy, but less.
Yeah, Facebook stalked them. That way you can look at modern pictures of them. Don't go. But it's like, and I mentioned this to you earlier, and you're like, it's like watching the old school Boy Meets World, like the original episodes. You're like, oh man, look at how hot Topanga is. Like, because she's our age now. But like, just because we were their age back when they shot that show, in that show, that is a 13, 14-year-old girl. I don't think they were that old, actually. I think they were younger than that. But yeah, it's just the way that people freak out over that stuff. And when I brought up the firefighter in World Trade Center, that was in real life a tall black man, but they replaced him with a shorter white man.
Mm-hmm.
I told him, like, I didn't hear any outrage over that. At least not from white people. So I heard all the outrage coming from the other side of the aisle, but I didn't hear anything from white people over that one. So, but you go ahead. You be upset over Tinkerbell and Ariel.
Just
I'd be
wait till
more.
he finds out how they cast Egyptians. I'm sure that will make him irate.
Oh God.
Or Jesus. All of them. Right? I'm sure he's just like angrily typing up, Facebook posts after Facebook posts, making his own TikTok videos of why is Jesus white?
I gotta say this. Ewan McGregor played my favorite version of Jesus. It's awesome seeing Jesus running around with a lightsaber.
And that's how I prefer my savior to be.
Yeah, I'm going out there kicking ass. But yeah, it was an interesting conversation with how irate this man was getting.
People get pissed.
Yeah, I don't get it. I do not understand that. It's I don't know. Seems like a waste of energy to me.
Speaking of waste of energy and being pissed, I've just been bombarded with, on my Facebook feed with group after group trying to sell the Snyderverse to Netflix.
Oh God, the Snyderverse sucks.
Trend. They're trying so hard. They're like, let Netflix finish it out. It's like, I wish there was something I loved as much as these guys love the Snyderverse. I don't think I love my kids as much as they love the Snyderverse.
Yeah, I don't love your kids as much as they love the Snyderverse either. I don't get it. Like, it's just like I'm not even as attached to Ghostbusters as they are to the Snyderverse, and the Snyderverse is just not. It's like, okay, someone pointed out Martian Manhunter. Okay, talking about how it's like, oh yeah, like he's the best cameo ever. I'm like, no, it's the most wasted cameo I've ever seen in my life. I told him if they're fighting Darkseid, like, this whole thing goes down. Why is it at the very end of the movie? And he's even watching them throughout the whole 4.5 hour long movie. He's there, but he's not there to help them at all. He's just there to watch. But then all of a sudden he shows up like, oh, there's a danger coming. Like, well, they could have really used your help.
That reminds me that, a lot of stories can just completely fall apart with like the slightest alteration. Like, everything falls apart for that story if, Martian Manhunter shows up and he says, what he has to say. And then the only response is, where were you?
Oh yeah.
The Battle of Metropolis. You were here.
Yeah, you watched
all that stuff with Steppenwolf. You were here, and you did nothing.
Yep.
How about everything that happened in 1984 with Wonder Woman?
Yep.
You were here. World War I. You were here, and you did nothing. You're about pretty useless.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people, and on top of that, the slow motion, for Christ's sake. Zach, we get it, buddy. We get it. You like slow motion. I had to watch Lois Lane coming out of a damn coffee shop with a coffee in slow motion. She's getting coffee in slow motion.
2 cups.
Yeah, that's right. 2 cups of coffee. So, like, double the fun there. But the thing is, like, it was just so... I don't get it. Like, Zack Snyder has a beautiful eye for cinematography, and we've said that numerous times. He's a very, very beautiful visual effects artist. He has some great ideas. 300 was beautiful.
Yeah.
I could not wait for it to be over, but it was beautiful.
Watchmen, Sucker Punch, all of them.
Watchmen. Like, oh yeah. Like, I mean, it's just like, we don't need to see so much slow motion. It's like Michael Bay with his like constant camera moving and spinning around people. Like, it's just, how much do you need?
I'd say Michael Bay's a better storyteller.
Michael Bay's a better storyteller, but at the same time, like it's their penchant for the camera work that they do. Slow motion here. Oh, over here, the whole like you get bored watching Zack Snyder because you want to fast forward it, but you can't in the theater. And Michael Bay, you get motion sick watching his movies. Plus, I mean, let's face it, the Transformers movies, every single one of those Transformers movies, it's the same thing. The humans are running around, but it's like when the Transformers are fighting and there are people around them, it's like me trying to walk through the apartment and not step on my dogs because they're running around my feet while I'm walking through the apartment.
Yeah.
Every Transformers movie, it's just the only tension you really get is thinking that this might be the one time you finally get to see a human being getting crushed because two Transformers are fighting. And they always just miss them. Like,
whoops.
It's mathematically impossible for them to have missed these people so many times. There's one of them like where someone hid under like a little brush that like just like a rivet in like a grass like knoll, and they rolled right over the person. I'm like, no, they should have crushed that person. Like the weight of these things alone.
Yep.
Or it's like catching them with their hands as they're flying through the air and shoving them inside and transforming them. Are you telling me for a second that not a single limb would get shredded off by this metal that's moving so quickly to create this car? I want to see some. Okay, in the next, at least one of these Transformers movies, one of these 25 Transformers movies, I want to see someone either get crushed or lose a limb.
Yeah.
It's just realistic. Yeah, we got to see it in Star Wars, and people lose limbs all the time in Star Wars movies.
Yeah, it's a tradition at this point. In Marvel as well for quite a while. We're going to pay homage to Star Wars. People are going to lose limbs.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I've noticed that, like, watching some movies, I just realized that there are some things I cannot stand. And like I said, with Michael Bay, it's a constant motion sickness I get from watching his movies. And with Zack Snyder, it is the excessive slow motion and how boring his movies and how droll they are, too. They're so droll.
But so beautiful.
They're beautiful. They're just, they're depressing as shit, man. See, now Star Wars, at least, like the movies, I don't count the last three movies as being canon to the original series. I look at that as being like an extended universe. I just like ignore because it makes no sense. It's not like a fluid storyline. It's just so weird. You have two different directors that are fighting over a vision for the trilogy, right? It kind of like clashed. It didn't really work copacetically.
Well, I wouldn't say they were fighting.
Well,
it's just
I don't mean fighting as in like actually like against each other. I'm talking about you had what was it? J.J. Abrams that had his vision that he wanted through all three movies.
And Rian Johnson.
And Rian Johnson came in and he threw that idea out and created his own idea, which threw the whole series off topic. Killed Snoke, who I believe was supposed to be like the big bad for the whole original trilogy, like the final trilogy.
Yeah.
And so since he killed him off, back comes J.J. Abrams. Not to mention what Rian Johnson did with Luke Skywalker. Yeah, like Mark Hamill and Daisy
Fuentes.
No, what's her name?
Ridley.
Daisy Ridley. That's right. They both have agreed that they just didn't really like what the direction he took them in that movie. And then for J.J. Abrams to come back and not really explain it, but have Poe explain it best, where he's like, Palpatine came back somehow. Like, okay. So it's like trying to like figure out like a new villain. It's just like it didn't flow very well. It felt like you could watch the tug of war in the course of like 7 hours. It's like watching a tug of war of storytelling.
I think we could both agree that when it comes, and I've had this conversation, I got yelled at by a shirtless man because of this argument I'm about to make.
A drunk shirtless man.
Shirtless, yes. I think we can agree that
Oh,
considering
God.
the situation JJ was put into coming into the third movie, where the story that he put forth in the Force Awakens,
Yeah.
was ultimately kind of negated in the second movie.
Yeah.
He had to come up with something new. And by something new, I mean, let's face it, you can't really introduce a new big bad of a trilogy in the third movie. So you're going to have to go someone recognizable, someone that's already known. But that somebody already known also has to be a bigger bad than the guy that you killed off in the second movie.
But it's like, but you still had Kylo Ren in the third movie.
It would have
could
been
have been-
nice, but that wasn't the direction they were going with him. They were doing his redemption arc and
Yeah, I get
not
that.
his ultimate rise to power arc.
But mind you, the redemption arc could have been that, like in Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader's redemption arc happened at the second half of that movie. The first movie, he was still like Darth Vader. He was still like, he wasn't like even close to being turned back to Anakin at that point. He was looking for Luke to turn him to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
It was not until like the redemption arc didn't even happen until the fight. I'm sorry, until Emperor Palpatine was electrocuting Luke on the verge of killing him, and Darth Vader sacrificed himself to save his son. That was a redemption arc right there.
Yes, and that the
But-
whole build up to that was figuring out where Vader's loyalties truly were, and
Yeah.
it kind of gave us that reveal as the Emperor was attacking Luke that Vader was still also Anakin and
yeah.
was willing to, sacrifice his mentor. Although,
Yeah.
if you recall, the big moral dilemma for Vader wasn't, will I choose the dark side and the Emperor, or will I choose the light side with Luke? It was, will I choose the dark side with the Emperor, or will I choose the dark side with my son?
Yeah, but the thing is, like at the very end of Rise of Skywalker, you had Rey facing off against Palpatine. Instead of bringing back Palpatine, you could have easily just had Ben Solo. Like, there's nothing wrong with creating a character that does not have a redemption. You could have had it to where he was so far gone that he had to be destroyed. It could have been an amazing story, because it's not one that you've seen before. Like not in the live action, like not in like the feature length movies. It's not one you've seen before where a character is so far gone that you cannot save them from the dark side. The closest you saw to that was in Episode 3.
Wait. So you are telling me that you wanted Han Solo's death to mean something?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you're saying? You're saying you wanted his sacrifice to where they're on the bridge and, Kylo Ren's like, I don't know what to do. And Han Solo's like, yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, Kylo Ren even rebuilt his helmets in Episode 9. He even rebuilt the helmet. Why do this if you're just going to have him like, an hour and a half later on? It's like, oh, I'm a good guy now. Like, no.
I think he followed his grandfather's footsteps and just wanted to be the sole, leader.
Yeah, and that's what it should have been, though. He should have followed his grandfather's footsteps without having someone to pull him back. Darth Vader had Luke Skywalker to pull him back into Anakin Skywalker. Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, whatever, he killed his own father. Just killed him.
And he was able to come back from that.
Yeah, it's like usually that, like, Luke Skywalker killing Darth Vader is what would have pushed him into the dark side. But
okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can wrap my head around this real quick. Okay, you would have preferred over what we got that Kylo Ren's story didn't end with some sort of janky, we used the Force to bring you to life, and then now I did.
Yes,
but
I would have preferred it that since Emperor Palpatine, and a lot of people don't really catch this. In episode 3, he gives Anakin Skywalker this whole spiel about how he can never learn how to save people from death or bring them back from death. He can never learn these teachings from a Jedi.
Right. You can
He
only learn from the
lures him,
Sith.
and he lures him to the dark side. And then after Anakin converts to the dark side, Palpatine flat out tells him that he was lying to him about knowing how to bring people back from the dead. He says flat out in his speech, like, only one person knew how to do this, but if you want to work together, we can learn the secrets.
Which he obviously did.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Palpatine did somehow because he's, in episode 9. But no one else knew this secret, so all of a sudden, Rey knows how to bring Kylo Ren back. Or no, was it Kylo? I forget. I checked out this part, but I guess
Kylo brings Rey back.
Okay, Kylo Ren brings Rey back from death, and then he gets killed
because of that.
Yeah. So it's just like I'm looking at this like, no, you should have had Kylo Ren be the bad guy of this entire movie. Like he should have gone so far to the dark side he could not have been saved, and it would have added to this absolute, like, I guess, like, this moment where Rey has to struggle with ending Kylo Ren. He's so far gone that she has to sacrifice that side of her to take him out.
And she doesn't. I don't think you end with Kylo Ren's death. Okay, hear me out. Okay, say this all happens the way you said. Kylo Ren is so far gone because he killed his father. That should have been a given. That's not something you should be able to pull back from. So he kills his father. He keeps falling further and further down the rabbit hole, learning the ways of the Sith. Even though he's kind of rejecting the idea of just allegiances altogether. So his ultimate goal is to destroy whatever master there is above him, so he can be complete and total, badass of the Empire.
Yeah.
Right. So in a way, this trilogy would have been sort of like the prequels to where we see the rise of or the creation of Darth Vader. So after this trilogy, there would be another a trilogy where Kylo Ren is the ultimate dark reigning emperor, overlord, whatever title he makes for himself, and he becomes like the most oppressive force in galactic history and leaves the Rebel Alliance in complete ruins, with only Rey and a ragtag group to fight back.
And I'd be happy to see that over what we saw. What we got was such a wasted potential to have all these OG characters come back and rock the hell out of things. Mm-hmm. It could have very easily been a passing of the torch thing, but instead we got what we got. And then on top of that, like, to end it off, the big thing is that killing Palpatine is what he wanted to be killed, so he could transfer his soul into the next person, right? That was his big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rey killed him. So So she kills him. She goes down to Tatooine. She buries like those last 2 lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
And who are you? Oh, I'm Rey Skywalker. Well, you can't say you're Rey Palpatine. He's kind of like pretty well known. I would be excited to find out that Palpatine survived through. If you have to push it on, Palpatine survived through Rey. I'd be fine with that. But the thing is, like, I'd rather just had gone the route of Ben being the bad guy, Palpatine never having come back, because even at the end of The Last Jedi, Kylo Ren was pissed.
Yeah.
Like he was absolutely, he wanted the galaxy. He wanted to rule, and he wanted Rey to rule with him.
The even
So I
bigger
thought-
twist would have been if Rey did decide, okay, we will rule this galaxy together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Have people leaving the theater going, what? What just happened? The
Yeah.
dark side won? Huh.
There's one more thing. Speaking of Star Wars, one more thing I read today that I thought was hysterical. It was on Screen Rant, and Screen Rant. If any of authors from Screen Rant watch this episode or listen to this show at all, do me a favor. Start paying attention to things that you write about. They were talking about the.
Seems like a big ask.
I know, right? They were talking about the first episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch it yet. Have you?
No.
Okay. Well, no spoilers then, but still, the big thing was that they're saying that episode 1 of season 3 of The Mandalorian completely retconned his whole side adventure in Book of Boba Fett. I'm looking at this thinking, like, how? Like, nothing was retconned. Nothing was taken away. Like, I mean, Christ, he gave Grogu back to Luke. Gave Grogu to Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2, and in Book of Boba Fett, he goes and ends back up with Grogu because Grogu chooses him over the Jedi teachings, and now he has Grogu again. Like, it cracked me because I really wish you watched it so I could talk to you about this. But yeah, it's like there's nothing that was retconned at all. And honestly, like, The Mandalorian is a show where I honestly would have loved to see it as a movie or as like an actual movie series. But I guess what we have right now is better. It's definitely best as like a Western style, intergalactic Western.
Mhm.
So. Yeah. So I got on that one.
Well, I haven't watched it. In fact, I'm also as far as viewing, I guess things, haven't watched a movie in a while, and I am 4 episodes behind on The Last of Us.
Well, you're missing out on The Last of Us. You're also missing out on Cocaine Bear.
And Creed 3 came out today.
Nah, fuck it. There's about 1 per episode. Don't see the point of those movies either. Cocaine Bear, though, excellent.
Creed movies are good.
They're just like pretty much retellings of Rocky to me. That's all they are. That's all they are. Just there. It's a passing the torch, Rocky to future Rocky, well, i.e. Creed's, Creed Jr., I guess.
Yeah.
But I just because like they even had what was it Ivan Drago's son in Creed 2.
Yes.
Like, okay.
I
you just Cobra Kai the shit out of that movie, didn't you?
Oh God, again with the Cobra Kai stuff.
Well, no, I'm talking about how like in Cobra Kai it's like a bunch of old men that have like beef with each other, and the kids are the ones fighting it out. And so in Creed 2, it's old men that had the beef with each other, and the kids are the ones fighting it out.
And remember, I said if you can compare Cobra Kai to anything, it's Glee.
Oh God,
A bunch of middle-aged
worse.
people that fight each other with kids and their hobbies.
Yeah, it's so bad.
And it's either something you're into or you're not.
I'm not at all.
I couldn't tell. I thought you were kind of on the fence about it.
Cobra Kai, I like it for the nostalgia factor and seeing like the old school characters come back.
And Johnny is just a freaking force.
No, Johnny's hysterical. Like Johnny's someone that you didn't really care for at all in the original movie. He didn't really have much to like really, he wasn't really that exciting of a character in the original movie.
No, he was just
he's just an asshole. Yeah, but watching him this show is like, you kind of feel bad for the guy.
A little bit.
But it's like you're rooting for him. It's like, okay, man, you're still kind of a dick, but it's
His
like when he
mindset is still like 1985.
yeah, Eagle Fang Karate.
Eagles
you
don't
wanna
have fangs.
you want to score those babes? Join karate, learn some really sweet roundhouse kicks. Oh man,
Oops. Knocking into
But-
stuff.
careful. But no. There's really not a whole lot that I've been watching myself. Cocaine Bear, watched that. It was hysterical. I will say Elizabeth Banks did a great job on that one.
Do you think Meth Gator will live up to it?
No, I don't. The fact that Cocaine Bear comes out and Asylum already has Meth Gator.
Mhm.
Like they're quick. They must have gotten wind like a few months ago that Cocaine Bear was even a thing.
LSD lemur.
Yeah. God.
Magic mushroom monkeys.
I was about to say mushroom monkeys.
The possibilities
Uh.
are limitless. Well,
Bath salt baboon.
at least as limited to what Schedule 1 narcotics are available to write about.
You know what? Bath salt baboons. I would watch that one.
All day. Let's write it.
No.
Sell
Not
it for
even-
$50. Watch it make $1 billion.
Yeah, I wouldn't even write that with a pen name. You kidding me? No.
I'll write it. I'll write it proudly. Hey, did you see
Oh,
my
God.
movie? Bath salt baboons. Yeah, that was me.
Oh God. What's it about? Well, it's in the title.
Doesn't take a real genius to break this one down. People
Bath
getting their
salt-
faces ripped off.
Bath salt baboons versus mushroom monkeys. Because you have to have like a versus movie at some point. You have to build the universe.
Okay, it starts off with, some
Oh God.
random
They're so
dealers going
stupid.
to the zoo,
They're
and
so
they think the
stupid.
cops are onto them, so they toss their stash, right? They're like, oh man, they're onto me. Toss their stash into the monkey pen. Next thing you know, the monkeys are like, okay, I'm going to eat this. And then all hell breaks loose. It's like a survival film. The monkeys go crazy.
I mean, you already had that movie. What was the movie? Zombies, Zombies, or something like that. It's like
Sounds
where like
familiar.
it's like the zoo full of animals. Like all the animals have like that like zombie virus. So they're like they're not zombies. They're zombies because they're animals in a zoo. That one and Zombievers.
Zombieber, yeah. I'm just saying. I'm just
And
saying
Black Sheep.
this plot where a dealer goes to the zoo for a deal, thinks he's being spotted by police, ditches his stash in the monkey pen. The monkeys get into the drugs, and the rest of the movie literally just writes itself. All you have to do is put in parentheses, monkeys go crazy, everything's resolved, credits. You don't need dialogue for this.
No, it would be like the ending for Maximum Overdrive. How you don't get any closure whatsoever. It goes to black, or I'm sorry, as they're escaping, I think on a boat. It says something. There's like text talking about how the UFO was blown up by the U.S. government. Like, there's no ending to the end of Maximum Overdrive. It's just like it just tells you what happens afterwards.
You know what that's called?
Lazy
Running
writing.
out of money.
Oh, okay.
We
I was
don't
gonna-
have enough money to actually film an ending. So
But it's like like there's an ending in the book, and here's what cracks me up. This is Stephen King's he was not
I
happy
don't
with
think there
how
was
some
a
of his.
book.
No, Maximum Overdrive. Yeah, there was a book, but the thing is, like, it was like a short story rather. It wasn't like a book, but either way, Stephen King wrote the screenplay, and Stephen King directed because he wanted it done right.
Yeah.
And it's listed as one of the worst, if not the worst, Stephen King story ever.
Brought to film?
I think so. Let me check that. I'm not too sure if that's a. Let me see here. It may not have been an actual book, but I know he wrote the story for it, and I don't know if he ever published it, but it was initially a story idea. And then the big bad of that movie was a semi truck with Green Goblin's face on it.
First time we saw the Green Goblin as a villain in a movie. Something else Raimi couldn't quite figure out how to translate to screen. The look of the Green Goblin. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm knocking Raimi here because,
Okay.
His movies were good for what they were.
It was based on a short story called Trucks.
What collection was that in?
Night Shift.
Okay.
Here it is. Okay. Let's see. The survivors then sail off to safety. A title card epilogue explains that 2 days later, a UFO was destroyed by a Soviet weather satellite, conveniently equipped with Class 4 nuclear missiles and a laser cannon. 6 days
It's
later,
a
Earth
movie where
passes
the
out of
U.S.
the.
didn't save the day.
6 days later, Earth passes out of the comet's tail, and the survivors are still alive. Oh God, I forgot how bad that was. Oh yeah, and it's great to see like a science fiction movie where like the United States are not the ones that that save the world as they do in
Yeah.
every single sci-fi movie. Every one of them, except for Mars Attack. Not Mars Attacks. Oh God. War of the Worlds, because War of the Worlds they died just by what infection, I think.
I never saw the movie.
So, yeah, something like the Earth's like atmosphere is what killed them off because they didn't have the protection from the germs that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what killed the aliens. So, our germs.
They didn't get vaccinated before the trip.
I guess not. No, they're a brilliant species that is able to transport through lightning bolts into the ground and into these giant ass like 3-legged tripod machines, but they don't know enough to vaccinate before they come into another planet's atmosphere.
Maybe they were new at it.
I guess maybe it's like maybe they got their lessons from watching Invader Zim. I don't know, but anyway, I digress. God. So many bad things out there to watch. So are you going to get going and go watch Supernatural with the kiddo?
Yeah, no.
Wow.
I mean, I don't want to say I'm never going to, but
You should. It's great to spend time with your kids. I watch 101 Dalmatians with the dogs.
well, first of all, comparing my children to your dog seems a bit ludicrous. Because
off, I
my
will have
kids stopped pooping in the living room like weeks ago. So, kids one, dogs nothing.
I'm sending you this picture right now of me and my boy last night when I was working on this editing that we put up tonight. Just sent to you on Facebook. Really cute picture of me and the doggo. Well, he's sitting there helping me out with this, and by help me I mean not doing a damn thing to contribute. But yeah, it's my boy.
We're not
And I will
really
watch
doing anybody any justice here with you telling them that you sent me a picture. So
Well, yeah,
There.
I'm talking.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's my dog. That's Indiana Jones. It's my co-writer, my co-contributor. That doesn't contribute or co-write, a damn thing. He just lays there and watches.
That's the star of. We named the dog Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah. He's about 5 or 6 years old now than he was in that picture. But yeah, while I'm in here in the office sitting there doing some writing or editing or whatever, he's laying next to me.
What? I'm gonna do the same thing then. Hang on. Let's see. Find you on Facebook.
What? Why are you finding me on Facebook?
So I can send you the message.
Oh.
To which I can then share. This is who was sitting with me. This is who was sitting with me as I was doing work on the computer. Sitting on my desk, just kind of watching me. That's our cookie.
Hey, next week, can we talk about comic book comic adaptations? Not like Marvel, not mainstream ones, but just like comic adaptations that were mainstream that became movies. Because I made something for that.
Oh, you made? That's why you want to do a thing about it?
I am proud of what I made.
Ah, got it. I'm not a fan of the aspect ratio, but I can make it work.
Well, I can always fix the aspect ratio. Writers, actors, directors, WADcast, writers, actors, directors, WADcast. That's so bad.
I could probably find a karaoke version and then create
Don't. Oh man.
Challenge accepted.
There we go. So that'll be next week. That'll be the one time we actually have a topic that I can discuss on the promotional material.
Just because Brandon made the promotional material first.
Yeah. Come on.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a thing.
We never discuss future episodes while we're still wrapping up the current one.
Yeah, so the motto is what are we going to talk about next? I don't know. It's not 5 minutes before air, and I'm not psychic.
Yeah. But this one, you want to give a tease over that?
Okay, before we do that, I kind of want to pull back the curtain a little bit. Tonight, we stopped doing shows dedicated to a topic pretty much, and the thing is we'll generally have an idea of some of the things that we're going to bring up to talk about, just in case there needs to be any kind of research done or ideas kind of thought out first. I'm going to tell you right now, this episode, not a one made it to the actual episode. Everything we said, hey, we could talk about this, this is what I've been looking at, none of it made it to air tonight.
Yeah, well, I don't think I talked about a single thing that I mentioned to you earlier.
Just that TikTok conversation. You were like, saw this thing with this guy on TikTok. That's it. That's that's the only thing. Had this whole I even tried to segue into one of them about stories that just fall apart if you pull one thread, but nope. Even with our most loosely made plans just to keep the conversation going, all of it is able to be thrown out the window without warning. Not because we consciously, decide, we're not going to do this. It's just because there's a finite amount of time, and sometimes we don't go in that direction. Nope. So, Brandon, what what is the tease for next week then? Episode number 122.
The picture I sent you.
So you want me to show that?
Sure.
Is that all right? Brandon's looking for those attaboys. As I get ready to present to you what he presented to me, I better close that tab because, I'll close that one too.
And the reason why I want this hinted is because A, I think it's awesome. I think it did a great job on it. B, yeah, we don't really talk about other things, other properties, and the differences in the original properties versus what made it to, the screen. And you had different things. Like you have Ninja Turtles, you have Vampirella, you have Blood Rain. Well, but it's actually more of it's a video game, not so much a comic book series. Vampirella, there's quite a few comic books that have The Mask. I think I said Vampirella twice, didn't I? Okay, The Mask, Spawn. All those old school comic books that came out. There's a bunch of them that have not really Swamp Thing. Before it was the fantastic DC shows was somewhat okay movie
and
series.
Pretty awesome USA show, and it's also a part of James Gunn's
show.
James Gunn's bringing it back.
Oh, his lineup, yeah. And there was also a cartoon for Swamp Thing back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So,
I would also love to talk about...
The theme song was... Oh, go ahead.
The theme song was what?
I was going to say the theme song was its own iteration of Wild Thing.
Yes.
That's right. If you remember the opening thing... Yeah, it's like it said Wild Thing, do 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 do. You make my heart. It's like Swamp Thing, dude. It's so stupid. But it's going back and watching it. It's just it in this trip down memory lane. It's hysterical to me. But yeah,
and I'm saying I would also like for us to touch on at some point in the future the ridiculous things that were geared towards children when we were children that probably shouldn't have been. I don't know, Rambo toys. I was thinking more along the lines
and RoboCop.
And RoboCop.
Because RoboCop even had toys and
R-rated movies with kids lines, kids toys.
Oh yeah, and RoboCop and Rambo both had cartoon series.
Yes.
Just a little trivia there, ladies. Kind of, I had the RoboCop toys. RoboCop. You remember those the caps that you would shoot the paper caps you put in the guns, you pull the trigger and you put them in this little back section for RoboCop, and so they pull the metal handle down. They would that would be him shooting his gun. This is a kid's toy. But oh god, good times. I love my childhood. I love the stuff that we got to play with and things we got to watch. Yeah, they even had Freddy Krueger. They even had a Freddy Krueger toy, for Christ's sake.
We should definitely break down what it was like to grow up in the 80s.
You know what the hell with it? That's the next episode right there. Growing up in the 80s. That will be the next episode. That's going to be next Friday night. Growing up in the 80s, the awesome cartoons that we got to watch. The awesome movies that we really were not supposed to know anything about that got turned into kids' properties, while other future rated R movie versions were coming out. So it's oh my god, We just watched I just watched the cartoon of RoboCop. Oh, they're making a RoboCop 2. I should watch that too. I have the toys. Yeah, let's go. God. The entertainment industry did not give a shit about what kids were watching back in the 80s. They did not
No.
care. I remember being in like kindergarten with my best friend at the time, Andrew Bottel. Like we used to like that one. What was it like that one line in Rambo? I think Rambo 2. Who are you? And he says, "Your worst nightmare." We used to say it to each other all the time as a joke. Indiana Jones, man. Indiana Jones was PG. Was rated PG. The very opening of the very first movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark, you have Alfred Molina, like our future Dr. Octopus, getting a spike through his head. It's a PG movie.
Now, to be fair, PG-13 didn't exist.
I know. That was after, I think, it was either Indiana, I believe it was Gremlins that put that over the limit. You know, not Indiana Jones, not all that like messed up stuff, like bases melting and everything else. That didn't do it. It was Gremlins.
Also, another franchise that's like, here, kids, play with these toys that will scar you for life.
Oh, it's like, what was it? It was Gremlins 2 was supposed to be for kids. And Gremlins 2 had a giant spider gremlin in it. Another gremlin bursting out of like a control room, biting a guy. There was nothing kid-friendly in Gremlins 2 either. And they were still melting and like it just God, being a kid of the 80s, dude.
It's it's hard to imagine. Do you remember the ambiguously gay duo?
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
the cartoons.
that was SNL, wasn't it?
Yes, it's the cartoons from our childhood where I think they drew a lot of inspiration from. I mean, come on, Thundercats.
Thundercats, Tiger Sharks, Silverhawks, yeah.
We're
Thundar.
gonna have a descripting. We're gonna have an adjective and an animal. What was the cats in the Jets?
Huh?
The show about the cat.
Oh, SWAT cats.
SWAT
No.
cats.
Yeah, SWAT cats, yeah.
Remember COPS?
Oh yeah. COPS, Mask.
Loved
Biker Mice
Mask.
from Mars. Biker Mice from Mars. You had Centurions.
GoBots.
Oh God, no one cared. No one cared about GoBots.
I loved GoBots.
It was such a cheap, lazy ripoff of Transformers. But of course, I like the real Ghostbusters, which flat out like was called the real Ghostbusters to give a middle finger to the original Ghostbusters property that let them use the name Ghostbusters. But and then the original Ghostbusters, yeah, and then the original Ghostbusters comes back to try to bank off of the Ghostbusters movie. Anyway, I gotta go. So, ladies and gentlemen, follow me, bjacksman1982 on Instagram, Brandon Junk on Facebook. I don't know what Twitter is. I keep forgetting. And Brandon Junk on TikTok. I've got a few things posted on there.
Brandon's Junk on OnlyFans.
But God, and the most important ones to follow are both on Facebook and Instagram. That is facebook.com/the WADcast, and same for the Instagram, instagram.com/the WADcast. Excuse me. You'll notice us because we'll have a black picture with a white banner that says WADcast in it. So go ahead and give us a like, give us a follow, catch up on our shows. They're all posted on the Facebook page, every one of them. Tonight's will be added shortly after it's posted. That's about it. But I got to go because I really have to go to the bathroom. So you guys have a great Friday, and I'm going to go lose some weight.
Oh, what a charmer he is, isn't he? And he got out before the music. So it's a win for him, I'm sure. Well, the other thing you can do is go to wadcomedia.com. That has all of the appropriate links for you to click on to get to everywhere you need to get to follow us on social media. I wish I could say the website itself was updated on a more regular basis, but you know what? It is what it is. So go to the social medias from wadcomedia.com and go ahead and hit the like button on all of those things. A few quick things to kind of put out there. First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us. And I want to say thank you to Jen, the always wonderful hostess of TV dinners, as well as my co-host from 10 to 1. I'm saying thank you because this week we came to a finale for the TV Dinners podcast. So that was sunsetted this week, but in its wake rises a new show, which, you know what? You're going to have to go to the social media pages to find out more about. Yeah. But no, Jen is not done with us here at Wadco Media. You can always go to moviesandmeals.com to also keep track of what she's up to. But nope, not done by a mile. We're starting something new, something very promising. And I hope you'll all tune in as storytelling is broken down week by week. Whew. So once again, thank you for joining us for the WADcast episode number 121. Should have been said at the top of the show, but Brandon found out that hosting introductions is not as easy as I make it look every week. Heh. And neither is hosting outros. So I'm going to just say what I say every week. And remember this. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. If you want to be a writer, you have to start writing. If you want to be a director, you have to start directing. You have a phone, point it at something and start getting that footage. Download some editing software, put it all together. Guess what? Now you're an editor. If you want to be in it, just set it down somewhere. Start recording yourself. Guess what? You're an actor. You don't need permission to create. Your film, short, long, or otherwise, doesn't have to be brilliant. It just has to be made. I don't remember who said that, but they're wise words. Make it. After the experience comes, then you can make it better. Ask George Lucas how that turns out. I mean, okay, maybe a bad example, but Tim Burton with Frankenweenie, maybe? I don't know. But the point is, the biggest, I think, the biggest problem that plagues creators isn't seeing your work rejected, and it isn't seeing your work unappreciated. It's having work in your mind, having something creative in your mind, and then just leaving it there. I think that's the biggest shame of all. Whew, so this has been the WADcast episode number 121. I hope you all enjoyed our little banter here tonight. We will be back next week talking about our childhoods in the most therapeutic way. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be kind of crazy. That's the WADcast for you. We will see you next week. I'm Josh. That was Brandon. See y'all.